Kicked my favorite niece's rude fiancé out of my parents' anniversary party, cancelled going to her wedding, and now she says I don't care about her. There is a 21-year age gap between myself and my eldest brother. This made it so me, 28F, and his oldest daughter, 23F, are very close in age and have grown up very close. I am very much the favorite aunt and have always considered us friends, not just family. She comes to me when she has a problem she didn't want to talk to her parents about. She tells me about her boyfriend and friend problems. She would call me when she was in college and needed picked up from a party or bar. And I was the first person she told when her boyfriend proposed, calling me at 6 a.m. the morning after because she was so excited to tell me. Some context on her fiancé: they have been together for 3 years and he is 1 year younger than her. She just graduated college in May 2024 and he is on track to graduate in May of 2025. They have their wedding scheduled for just a week after his graduation. He is studying biochemical and microengineering and is very smart, more on the introverted side with a dry humor. Since she introduced him to the family, we could tell they are serious and tried to be as welcoming as possible, inviting him to family events and on trips, getting him birthday and Christmas presents, and genuinely trying to get to know him. Whenever he is around our family he acts annoyed all the time, like it's painful to spend time with us, and he expects my niece to stay by his side the whole function, getting annoyed if any of the little cousins ask her to play, including my children. More context: my niece is my children's godmother, and expects her to leave at the same time as him even if they drove separately. My eldest brother is constantly advocating for him, saying he's just introverted and the size of our family makes him uncomfortable, insisting that he's different when it's smaller groups or one-on-one, but I haven't seen it even when it was just the two of them with myself and my husband. He talks to everyone like we are stupid and is extremely condescending. When they got engaged things got worse. With how close we are, I was expecting to be asked to be a part of the wedding party, but she did not ask me. I was a little hurt, but I chose to let it go because it's her special day and her choice. Then his family planned the engagement party and didn't invite any of my family. She explained that it was just a small affair, just their parents and siblings, but I later found out she lied to me when I saw pictures on social media. I did confront her about that, but she said she didn't plan the guest list, so I tried to let that go too. Then she didn't invite myself or my mom to her dress outing, saying it was a limited number of people allowed and she wanted to make sure his mom and sisters could come with her. After that I told her that it really seemed like she was trading our family for his family. She said she wasn't, but when I asked them later how they planned to spend holidays, he said they'd spend them with his family. My last straw was over December and January. In December she invited me and my husband for dinner. I was excited because she hadn't initiated us hanging out since her engagement. Dinner was nice, a little awkward since conversation wasn't smooth with her fiancé, but pleasant enough. When the check came, my husband took care of it after it sat on the table for about 15 minutes and they didn't offer to split or pay even though they invited us. Then when we were ready to go they asked if we could have a serious conversation. I was confused as to why we didn't have it during the meal, but they proceeded to ask us for money to pay for their wedding. She said it was turning out to be more expensive than they thought and needed help since their parents don't make enough. I asked why they didn't wait until he was working and not just in an unpaid internship or until she got a full-time job instead of a part-time job. I said that I wasn't saying no, but that I just wanted to understand why they wanted to have their wedding so fast. The wedding is about 8 months after their engagement. That conversation devolved into an argument about financial responsibility where her fiancé said if we can help then we should because it's family. And then following up with us having plenty of time to resave when my husband explained a lot of our money was invested for our children's future. After we offered 2 grams as a little something to help, my niece brought up my savings from my deceased husband's life insurance. I asked if she really thought bringing up my deceased husband was going to help her. We then repeated our offer of 2 grams and he asked if that was really all we'd give them, so we withdrew the offer. We left enraged. Then before Christmas my mom invited them over to bake because the fiancé enjoys baking desserts and bread. He was so rude to her throughout that she came over for some grandkid time and tea because she was so sad. My dad was pissed, and then neither my niece or fiancé came to Christmas. We had a family get together around New Year's, and when we were driving 2 of my brothers and their wives home we had a conversation about how sick everyone was of the fiancé and how we wished they weren't getting married. Finally in January it was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. I planned a party for them and then we were going to Mexico, which was group financed by myself and my siblings for our parents. Fiancé was only coming to party as he couldn't miss school for Mexico. The party was fancy, RSVP invitations, private venue, catered, semi-formal dress code. A week before my niece texted me and let me know fiancé wasn't going to come to the party because of a fraternity event. I told her that this was an important family event and on top of that it was rude to skip out on an event that you've risked for without a good reason, and made it clear that I didn't consider his fraternity a good reason, considering how long he's known about the event. She said she'd talk to him but I never heard back, so I was unsure if he was going to come. Day of he showed up late wearing a t-shirt, jeans, and backward cap. My mom, still trying to be nice, said she was glad he was there and he responded like I had a choice. He then stayed in his seat not speaking to the people at his table or participating in the activities. About halfway through we were taking a family picture and invited him to be in it and he said this isn't my family. My mom started crying and excused herself to the bathroom. I pulled him aside and snapped. I told him that if he didn't want to be in this family to get the F out. That I was tired of dealing with his attitude and disrespect, and pretending to like him, and told him to leave. When my niece went to follow him, I told her that if she went with him that she should forget coming to Mexico with us. She didn't follow him, but she made it clear that she was upset that he'd been kicked out. The adults in the family, about 12 of us, sat down with her to air out our grievances about the fiancé with her so that she understood the extent of the problem, but she still defended him, said that we just didn't know him as well and that we made him uncomfortable. After that conversation, I told my husband that I just couldn't act like nothing was wrong anymore, so we declined on the RSVP to the wedding. She texted me asking why we said no, and I met her for coffee. I explained to her that I didn't feel that I could support her marriage, that he wasn't a good person, and I felt like her independence and everything that was special about her was disappearing behind his expectations. She disagreed and told me that I just didn't understand. She then told me that if I really cared about her that I should suck it up and come to her wedding. Update 1. We are still not going to the wedding. I explained to her that part of it is because I love her. That ultimately it's supposed to be a special day for her, and that with the way I feel about him that I would object to the union in front of everyone as opposed to privately. I told her that whatever she chooses that I'm always specifically in her corner, and that I hope that she will still want to spend time with me and my kids, but more than that to know that she can come to me anytime for anything. And that for her sake I do hope that I'm wrong about him. We did get her a few things off the registry that I knew were more for her than for him. She said she would think about everything, so we will see what happens between now and then. And to the person who said they thought I didn't think it through on what this might mean for the future, I can assure you I did. My family means the world to me, and I don't want to hurt her or my relationship with her, but we got to the point where I couldn't stay quiet and pretend like there wasn't anything wrong. Thanks to everyone for the input, it really helped me organize my thoughts and think through everything that's happened. Update 2. So I honestly wasn't sure if I was going to have anything else to update after my husband and I decided not to go to the wedding, and figured if I did have more to update it wouldn't be until after the wedding. But holy hell was I wrong. I figured I'd share since so many people were invested and gave great advice when I needed it before. So first off, my daughter and I ended up going to the bridal shower at the end of April. My niece asked me repeatedly to come, and I figured that things would be relatively drama-free since the fiancé doesn't get to come to that. I asked in advance if she was sure she wanted my daughter to come since she is under 10. I was assured that there would be other children there and that my niece really wanted her goddaughter there. Skip to day of, and my daughter was the only child. One of my sil even told me she was told not to bring her 3 daughters, 1 older and 2 younger than my daughter. The maternal aunt kept scolding my daughter for touching things even though I was keeping an eye on her and she did no such thing. The mother of the groom asked if I was purposely trying ruin the event, and the groom's sister said it was rude of me to bring her. I was ready to just walk out, but the bride's 19-year-old sister took my daughter to play in her room upstairs. My other niece that took her upstairs has special needs and had said she was feeling overstimulated, but the bride was still upset that she didn't stay downstairs for the whole event. The bride never even said hi to my daughter, making her feel very sad when we went home. We played those how well do you know the bride games, which I won, prompting my niece to say that I was basically her best friend, causing an awkward silence as the room became confused as to why I wasn't in her wedding party. Extra special surprise for me when I found out that all the groom's sisters are in her bridal party but her best friend and her own sister are not. About a week later we got together to celebrate my dad's birthday. When my mom invited them, the fiancé responded, "If I don't have anything better to do then I might come." My mom didn't hear anything else, so assumed he wasn't coming, and when he showed up she had to set a place for him, prompting him to play victim, saying we don't want him around. He then had to be asked to put his phone away at the table while we were all eating and no one else had their phones with them. The final straw for my parents was twofold. They asked about the rehearsal dinner because you'd think the grandparents of the bride would be invited. They were told it was wedding party only, which basically includes the groom's whole family. I later found out through other people that the groom's grandparents were going to the rehearsal dinner because they came from out of state and wanted as much time with the grandkids as they could get. I kept that tidbit to myself because I didn't want my parents to be more hurt than they were already feeling. They then had the audacity to ask my parents to hang out with the bride's sister since she doesn't do well staying at home alone and they would all be busy at the dinner. The second thing was that the bride asked my mom what she'd be wearing to the wedding, specifically asking if she was going to be buying a new dress. My mom said that she wasn't buying something new because she already had a nice dress. My niece responded that my mom dresses old-fashioned and frumpy and that she didn't think anything she already had would be appropriate for the wedding. My mom is very stylish for her age, mid-70s, and the dress she had picked out was gorgeous. My mom told her that she was being rude but that she would give her the benefit of the doubt because planning a wedding was stressful, and sent her a picture of the dress. She then told my niece that she had gotten it for her best friend's daughter's wedding and had only ever worn it that once, so my niece hadn't seen it before. My niece responded, "I guess it's okay." My mom felt very defeated and my dad had had enough. He responded on their behalf with, "From our various interactions it does not seem that you want us to be participants in your special day. Your grandmother and I will no longer be attending your wedding." They returned their wedding gifts. My husband and I decided to do the same now. For my side of the family, the only ones that are going are 2 of my 5 siblings. One because it's his daughter, and one because his wife is playing the guitar during the ceremony and he did not want her going alone. She does piano or acoustic guitar accompaniment for special events professionally, and she had committed before the bulk of the drama happened and did not want to harm her professional reputation by backing out last minute. That brother has let everyone know that they will not be staying past the ceremony, that his kids are hanging out with Grammy and Gramps, and that he is going full petty by wearing jeans, t-shirt, and hat just like the fiancé did to our parents' 50th anniversary celebration. That's all I've got for now, and I'd quit else could happen at this point, but I'll keep you updated. Wedding is 1 week away, so to address a few things I've noticed popping up, the reason the fiancé was invited to family dinner was my mom. We, her children, have asked her to stop inviting him to things because he always inevitably ruins the atmosphere, but she is a part of the generation where family always gets another chance and you do everything to keep the peace. We are slowly but surely helping her to establish and keep healthy boundaries, but she was also holding on to hope that she would be gaining a grandson and not be losing a granddaughter. My niece is absolutely contributing to the problem. She did not used to be this way. As I've said before, we were good friends. She's the godmother to my kids and was in both my weddings. I noticed her becoming more self-centered as she gained independence in college. I hoped it would get better, but it's gotten worse, contributed to by the dipshit and his family. I'm trying to find the balance in letting her know I love her and that if she's in trouble or needs help that we are here, but that her current attitude and actions are unacceptable and unsupported. Sometimes she does acknowledge that he's rude but also has an excuse lined up like school stress, internship workload, bad day sort of stuff. Always comes back to he's a good guy and we just don't know him well enough. I think my brother is in denial and doesn't want to admit that his daughter is getting into a bad thing. He's full of all the excuses too, i.e., introverted, not comfortable with large groups, stressed, tired, smart to the detriment of social skills. We've heard it all. Kind of hard to ignore when your whole family decides not to show up to the wedding though, so maybe it'll kick some sense into him. He was very angry when I sent him screenshots of the texts between his daughter and our mom though, so I'll give him props for that one. Update 3. Well, the wedding was not even close to the end of the drama. If anything, it turned out to be just the beginning of the craziest, messiest, and most revealing chapter yet. The only folks from our side who actually made it to the ceremony, as I mentioned before, were my eldest brother, her dad, and his wife, who played guitar for the ceremony, plus of course her youngest sister, who is still living at home. No cousins. None of the grandparents, aunts, or uncles from our side. And of course, I was at home getting play-by-plays from my SIL group chat. About an hour before the ceremony, photos started trickling onto social media from the groom's family, who, not even kidding, showed up in matching Hawaiian shirts and milky white sunglasses. Evidently, the groom's younger brother thought it would be fun for the fam to be coordinated and quirky, his words. It was as if they collectively decided to level up the overall awkward. The groom's mom tried to outdo everyone with a sparkly, floor-length, silver-beaded dress. And a tiara. Unfortunately, remember how my former Dill said her sister wasn't feeling up to the wedding? Well, she had a full meltdown the morning of and refused to leave. My brother spent 2 hours trying to coax her to come, but she kept sobbing that, "I'm not part of the wedding. All the other people are her new family." Which broke my brother's heart and for once made him call out both his daughter and his wife for letting things get to this point over the past year. On to the actual ceremony, my brother reported it was, quote, the most soulless, transactional event he'd witnessed. Literally zero mention of family in their vows, both of them barely made eye contact, and the groom muttered so quietly that the officiant had to stop and ask him to repeat his vows, which he responded to by doing an exaggerated sigh and rolling his eyes, on video, no less. The groom's family cheered loudly at the end, and ours just politely clapped. Then came the reception. My sister-in-law, stuck at a table with, you guessed it, the Hawaiian shirt gang, texted us blow-by-blow details of their conversations, which apparently were about cryptocurrency, Taylor Swift conspiracy theories, and the runner-up for best cheese in the greater Boise area. The only thing less palatable than the discourse was apparently the vegan cauliflower wedding dinner, choice by the bride, not that the new in-laws quietly accepted it. Apparently they griped the whole time. The best/worst moment, depending on your sense of humor, groom's best man gave a roast-style speech that started, "I can't believe you tricked her into marrying you." And he actually called my niece a decent first wife. My niece apparently blushed and kind of shrugged. Everyone reports absolute silence from the room, aside from a handful of groomsmen cackling. After the dinner, there was almost no dancing. About 20 minutes after cake was served, the groom's older sister accidentally spilled a pitcher of sangria onto the bride's dress. There was much shrieking, and, in full view of both families, the groom told my niece, "You should have gone with the navy dress." Let it be noted, she'd been obsessed with finding the perfect white dress for months and this jab hit her like a brick. After, my brother said he got exactly 4 minutes to talk to his daughter that entire night. He asked her if she was happy. She apparently just said, "I'm tired," and then got whisked away by her new mill, who wanted an entire family photo, with only their side. My brother, who is usually pretty stoic, said he sat in his car and cried for the first time in his adult life. So, wedding's done, right? Wrong. By the next afternoon, our family chat started blowing up. My niece's social media had gone radio silent since the event, but that night around 1 in the morning, she finally texted me. I had resigned myself to being cut off for a while, but instead I got a 6-message rant about her new in-laws. Turns out, her new mill spent their entire first evening as a married couple cornering her to ask about delivering us our first grandchild and drop not so subtle suggestions about how she was now expected at all future family holidays. Yes, all of them. Whenever my niece mentioned traveling to see anyone on our side, or even her own parents, the mill would say, "Well, that's not appropriate for a new bride. It's time to be with your family now." Here's the kicker: the groom left my niece alone with his family their entire mini-moon weekend. He RSVP'd yes to a guy's camping trip and brought her back to his parents' house, where she spent 3 nights locked in her new guest room helping his mom plan his younger sister's graduation party. All her texts suggest she spent more time with his grandmother than her own husband. By day 5 of wedded bliss, my niece called me. She was sobbing. She said she wanted to go home. She missed her parents. She missed me. She missed my kids and being godmother. She said, "I feel like I'm trapped in a cult." I suggested she come over, just to talk, no judgment. She said she needed to get her husband's permission to leave, her words, and I nearly choked. He said no and told her she was acting like a child. When she insisted, he threatened to have her pack up and go stay with her aunt if she couldn't act like a grown-up. She called my brother, who came and picked her up at 11 p.m. without asking, and brought her to their house. The next day, my niece showed up on my doorstep in sweatpants, puffy-eyed, and hugged me for what felt like an hour. She asked if she could stay just for a few days to breathe, and there was zero thought on my end. She's still here now. And the fallout? Explosive. The groom texted my brother that if she wasn't back by Friday, he would start the annulment paperwork and demand the value of her wedding gifts be returned. Yes, in writing, his family started group texting my brother, my niece, and even me, about how she abandoned her duties as a wife, and it's disgraceful for a young woman not to cleave unto her new husband. I kid you not, one of his aunts wrote, "Marriage is not a democracy. The man is the head." So that's where things stand right now. My niece is in our guest room, taking time off work, and for the first time in years is just resting and not walking on eggshells. My brother and I both sat and talked with her about whether this marriage is what she wants, and, for the first time, she admitted she's scared of what being with him long-term means. She hasn't said the word divorce yet, but, for the first time since college, I got to see glimmers of the real her under all the anxiety and guilt. Today, my daughter and she baked cookies and watched cartoons together. She said, "I miss this more than anything. And it's all still so new, maybe she'll go back. Maybe she won't. I don't know what happens from here, but I told her the door's open, no matter what. TLDR, just kidding. You all were right. Being honest and holding boundaries was the right call, because with all the chaos, it means at least when she broke, she knew I was still waiting and ready to be there for her. But holy hell, I never thought things could actually get wilder after the I do. Update 4, I truly thought the roller coaster reached its peak with her arriving on my doorstep, tear-streaked and more exhausted than I'd ever seen her. Apparently, that was just the ride up the first hill. The next 48 hours turned our worlds upside down. Late the night after she moved into our guest room, my brother, her dad, called, "Can I come over?" Not 10 minutes later, he was sitting at my kitchen table next to her, voice trembling. He apologized to her, actually, truly apologized for missing it, for trying to minimize or excuse everything we'd seen in her fiancé, for letting his hope override the truth. He even told her, "If you want to go back, I'll support you, but if you want to end it, there's no limit to what I'll give you to get out safe." For the first time in over a year, she reached over and held his hand. We all just sat there, a family actually connecting, while my child, her goddaughter, built a fort out of pillows. By dawn, my niece was making plans, not just reacting, and for the first time since the engagement, I watched hope bloom on her face. Of course, our quiet moment didn't last. By noon, his mother and 2 of his sisters somehow got her cell number. My theory, the now estranged groom shared her location/contacts in a fit of husbandly concern, and began a barrage of calls, texts, and voice memos. The tone shifted from "you're embarrassing yourself, come back and apologize," to unhinged, guilt-tripping, "Don't shame our son. If people find out you left, you'll ruin his professional reputation. You're selfish and unstable." She blocked them, but they found her work email. At 2 p.m., I picked her up from the side door of my house, shaking and clutching her phone, crying because she found out through a LinkedIn message that her new mill had called her part-time supervisor to ask after her and inquire whether she was emotionally well since the wedding trauma. The nerve, the real bomb dropped that Thursday evening. My niece's husband, soon-to-be ex, hopefully, filed a police report saying his wife is missing, and that our family may have influenced her or done something to keep her away. Imagine the sound my jaw made hitting the floor when 2 polite but uncomfortable officers came to our door, asking if my niece was here of her own volition. I told them she was. They asked to see her. She brought out cookies, still in pajamas, bless her, smiled, and reassured them she wasn't in any danger, physically or otherwise. The officers left after a brief, awkward chat, apologizing, but one leaned in. "You should know," he said, "he'd withdraw the report if you contact him immediately." My niece's face turned the color of bone. That was the final straw. She called a lawyer the next morning. Enter the most heroic small-town lawyer you can imagine. Divorce pro bono, advice on urgent annulment, protective orders just in case. He walked her through steps she should take to protect account info, credit, social security. Apparently the new family tried to add her to a joint credit card the morning after their wedding. What a highlight, and even offered, offhand, most people don't get this wild so fast. Might want to give Dr. Freeman a ring, she does trauma work. My niece scheduled a session the same day. That's when things shifted. My social media, my brothers, even my husband's, started blowing up with mutual friends sending us screenshots. The husband's family had begun a campaign, public and private, painting my niece as missing, and us as influencers breaking up a Christian family. His aunt messaged half of our cousin circle, asking if they could talk sense into the poor girl. Our immediate family group chat decided, no more responding to them. Eyes forward, support up, lawyer on speed dial. My brother and I signed her up for an appointment with a local trauma specialist. Helpful suggestion from one of the folks here. If you're reading, thank you. She went. She came home lighter. She asked if we wanted to do a brainstorm with her on what comes next, not just divorce, but her job, her apartment, even going back to grad school. She said it was the first time in months she'd even thought about her own future, not just surviving one day to the next. Over that weekend, our house became sanctuary central. My second oldest brother, her uncle, and his wife brought over dinner, her favorite, lasagna, and a bottle of wine. My mom, after days of feeling devastated, met my niece with a new scarf she'd knitted, to remind you who you are and who loves you. That night, my niece and I sat up past midnight, talking through everything. Her guilt, I feel like I owe it to everyone to try a little longer. Her fear, what if I never get out of this, and they follow me forever? And her slow, shocked realization that not one person from his circle had ever asked if she was okay, only when she was coming back. In the meantime, her soon-to-be ex kept up the barrage. He sent her a PDF spreadsheet tallying what he claims are her half of the wedding expenses, including his tux rental, because my image is our image, the deposit on there, now cancelled, honeymoon, and, get this, the cost of the groom's sister's ruined dress from the sangria incident. He even Venmo requested us for damages incurred by not fulfilling marital duties. We laughed for a solid 10 minutes. She blocked him. Her lawyer sent a cease and desist. The most incredible thing, though, has been watching the real her return. As the legal and emotional waters receded, so much of her old humor, her authentic laugh, her care for my kids and my brother, all came flooding back. She signed up for a summer ceramics class at the community college, just for fun. She joined a book club. And she's talking, with her therapist and us, about boundaries, about not feeling like she has to please everyone to be safe. As for the groom's family, they've mostly shrunk back since the lawyer got involved, but not before sending one final email to my whole family condemning us for breaking up a sacred union and warning that karma never forgets. My mother got the giggles every time she read that line. Last night, my niece stood up at our family dinner, her first since untangling from all this, and thanked everyone for not giving up on me, even when I pushed away everyone who loved me. She said she's still scared, but she knows she never wants to feel this small again, and she's working hard, with help, toward loving herself enough to never get lost in someone else's shadow again. I don't know how the next chapter goes. Maybe her ex fights the annulment, maybe he slinks away, maybe his family stages an intervention at Target. God help us all. All I know is, keeping strong boundaries, and never pretending everything's fine just to keep up appearances, was the right decision for our family and for her. And I can say for sure, whatever else happens, she will never have to doubt if we're here, on her side, waiting for her to come home. If you made it to the end, thanks for reading. Real love is about showing up, even when it's hard, and never letting the people you care about believe, not for a second, that they are truly alone. Here's to healthier, brighter chapters ahead. I'll update if anything else wild happens, but I'm secretly hoping for just a nice, peaceful summer of ceramics, book clubs, and bad cookies.